you can't stay the whole time, that's fine. Jody, could you do me a favor and pull the slider closed and then close the doors? Because I want to get started. Actually, a little late. Elena, are you ready to record it? Good morning, everyone. Is this on? Can you hear me? We're doing this on Zoom, so I need to make sure you can hear me. The microphone. There we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Laura Schrank, and I'm the Director of Member Engagement here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Annapolis. I am a white woman in my late 40s with grayish brown hair, and I'm wearing a black jumpsuit. My pronouns are she, her. I'm presenting this Radical Welcome training, and I did a training at GA that was about growing membership through creating connection. And in that session, I talked about how two things that you can do to help create a culture of welcome and be radically welcoming is to prepare your space, your physical environment of your church. And the other thing to do is to prepare your people. That means prepare your congregation. And that doesn't just mean your ushers and greeters and hospitality team, while that is important, but it really means the whole congregation. And so I am recording this so that I can share it with our whole congregation because I think it's important for everyone to know. So I just wanted to give you a little framing of what this training is. I originally created this training for the greeters, ushers, and hospitality folks, the Radical Welcome team. But after doing it the first time a couple years ago, I thought, this is so important for everyone to know. And so I modified the training to create this training for our congregation. So we're so glad you're here. Welcome. I wanted to lift up that this training is not my creation alone. This is an adaptation and a collaboration using many different ideas that I found from all of my work doing this membership position. And so I want to lift up a thank you to Graham Smith from the BBC and the Building Beloved Community folks. Also, Reverend Taryn Strauss and Shay Stewart from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. Their Radical Welcome training was a huge inspiration to me. Kelly Greene from the UU community of Charlotte, and as I said, the Building Beloved community group here at our church. So thank you to all those folks who do amazing, inspiring work here. I'm going to try to work out the logistics. I'm forwarding this slide and this slide at the same time. Let's see how it goes. There we go. So whenever someone comes through our doors, we have a unique opportunity. Entering into a relationship allows us to listen and to be transformed by their stories and experiences. In community, we all share the amazing responsibility to create space in which everyone can be seen, heard, and affirmed. As we welcome others into our spiritual home, consider that we all have gifts to share, gifts that might lead our community through beautiful growth and transformation. Let us engage in this practice of welcoming with an open and curious spirit. That's a quote adapted from India McKnight. So to start off, we're just going to do some introductions. If you're joining us on Zoom, you can do your introductions on the chat. But for those of us who are here, you can turn and just greet your neighbor and maybe tell them a few words of how you felt when you first came to UUCA. Get friendly. So, I got a mic. So Eliana is going to just pass the mic around. If anyone wants to share some of the words that came up of how you felt when you first came to UUCA. So raise your hand if you'd like to share a word or two about how you felt when you first came to UUCA. Say your name.
Phoebe.
And how did you feel when you first came to UUCA?
I felt kind of weird because, wow, there's a lot of kids here than I expected.
Okay.
And I didn't honestly expect for it to be this fun.
Okay, great. She didn't expect for it to be this fun, she said. Does anyone else want to share some words that came up and how you felt when you first came to UCA? You want to share?
Eliana, I don't know because I was 3.
Okay, great. Anyone else?
I'll share that I was kind of drifting spiritually, religiously, and then when I came here, I was like, yep, this is it. This is where I belong.
And as you've gotten, or does someone else want to share? Okay, Ted.
I felt like I found my home when I came here, and but I do remember, or should I say, and I do remember people used to complain that I never felt this. I felt welcomed because I think I just went around and met people. But before you, people used to tell me that they'd come to the church and didn't feel welcome. I remember hearing, and I'd be like, what? Like it didn't make sense to me. But I heard it from other people that came in. That was 27 years ago. And people did say that 27 years ago. They used to be like, well, I like it here, but nobody greeted me. Nobody said anything. I'm standing and no one's talking to me. Didn't happen because I just talked to people, but I do remember that.
So how do folks feel now when they come to UUCA? I think Kara's raising her hand. And if anybody has anything to share in the chat, Elena, can you see it and let us know? Go ahead, Kara.
Yes, Kara, I shared that I felt connected and like, immediately in a way that I think in many spaces you don't get that connection right away.
Does anyone else want to share how they feel when they come to UCA? Noelle?
I'm Noelle, and I felt seen as a person, as an individual, and accepted.
Does anyone else want to share?
In the chat, Pam Churchill says that my first visit was mind-blowingly warm, kind, and it felt like home. She said she was heavily greeted.
Great. So that's how we want people to feel when they come to the congregation. Oh, you need to flip it back so I can control it. Nope. Oh, is it going? Oh, I'm not looking. Oh, gosh, I'm looking at the wrong. Sorry. Technology. So when we think about that, like, how do we want other people to feel when they come to UUCA? And we want them to feel important, supported. We want them to feel enough, that they're accepted, that they're safe, that they're valued, that they're cared for, special, known, and appreciated. And every Sunday when I come to church, it's really my goal to make people feel this way, but also I want it to be all of our goals to make people feel this way, because the work of radical welcoming isn't just mine, and it's not just the radical welcome teams, it's all of our work. So these are the feelings that people have when they are radically welcomed. So what is radical welcoming? Radical welcoming creates a sense of belonging and community where people feel safe and comfortable being their authentic selves. But being radically welcoming is more. It is creating a culture of connection. It is a commitment to centering relationship building. It's actively working to include everyone. And it's learning to recognize and avoid interactions that cause harm and to make amends when these type of interactions occur. So some people have said to me, well, I think we're pretty welcoming. Why are we here? In June 2020, UUA's Widening the Circle of Concern report concluded that though our predominantly white congregations and organizations may see themselves as welcoming, Unitarian Universalists continue to unwittingly repel people, specifically those from marginalized groups. This is a quote of a visitor to UUCA who came to visit us in the spring of 2023. I suffer a lot of social anxiety and could have been a new member. Other congregations have systems in place to make newcomers feel welcome, yet I got to stand around in coffee hour with no doubt a cloud of buzzards circling overhead. I did not feel welcomed except for one person who helped us figure out how to get into the building. The rest of the time, I was the kid from the old joke that needs to wear a T-bone so the dog will play with them. Not my wife, though. Everyone kept coming up and talking to her about the 8th principle. Wonder why. I left disappointed and obviously a little bitter. This is when I had already started working in this position, and I was actually away for spring break when this person visited. But it really made me think about how we as a whole community need to be doing that welcoming, because it can't rely on just one person. And our Radical Welcome team is wonderful, but it is easy to miss people. And so in thinking about this, where did we go wrong, and what can we do about it? So the things that I think that we can do about it are develop our skills for building connection and authentic relationship, and also to learn to recognize and avoid subtle acts of exclusion and practice how to make amends when they occur. I didn't meet this person, but I'm assuming that his wife was Black and he was white, because he said that the people were circling around her talking about the 8th principle, which is our anti-racism, anti-oppression principle. And that is a subtle act of exclusion, to go up to somebody and say, oh, you're Black, let me tell you about all our anti-racism work, which is something that we need to recognize, that can feel very othering to someone, and what we can do about it. And so this is a 2-part training. The first part of the training is about creating a culture of connection, and then next week, the training is about understanding and recognizing subtle acts of exclusion and how to avoid them and make amends when they occur. So this part of the training, the focus of this part is creating a culture of connection, developing our skills to create, oh, you know what, I just realized I didn't forward my thing. I'm not used to doing both, I'm sorry. So this session is about creating a culture of connection, developing our skills to create connection on authentic relationships. So we're all responsible for creating a radically welcoming environment. I've already said that, right? And radical welcoming is for everyone, not just new people. Sometimes we forget this, that we see those paper name tags and we're like, oh, that's somebody new, I'm gonna talk to them. But as people become a part of the church, maybe they've been in the church a few months or a few years, maybe they feel disconnected, we can be radically welcoming and be intentionally creating connection with everybody in our congregation. It's not just exclusive to new people. And when I switched positions, I was originally the membership coordinator, and my position was very much just like people join the church, we give the classes, they sign the book, they're members. And in looking at expanding my position, I shifted to be the director of member engagement, because I think that membership should not end when you sign the book. Membership and member engagement needs to continue to help people create connection and feel a part of the community. And there should be all these opportunities that help them to do that. And so that's been a lot of my work here in the congregation, and I know a lot of you have experienced that, which is wonderful. So things that we can do to create this culture of inclusion is that we can practice intentional acts of inclusion. Act in a way that tells people, I care about you and I want to know you, that you belong here and you are truly welcome just as you are, that I see you and value the insights and experiences you bring. And it's my hope that I make all of you feel that way when you come to church on Sundays, or when you interact with me other times. So we create connection through curiosity. So things that you can do to help create connection through curiosity is talk to people you don't know yet. They don't have to be just the new people, but anybody you don't know yet. Ask open-ended questions, like saying, what are your interests, rather than, do you like volunteering? With a closed-end question, do you like volunteering? Nope, the conversation ends, right? But if you say, what are your interests, then there's something they might say, there's something to build on, to have a conversation. And that's just generally a great skill to have in life, not just at church, right? And remember that everyone has multiple identities, and refrain from focusing on any one identity that you notice or assume. So so getting to know the whole person and not making assumptions just based on what they look like or what you might assume of them. There are a lot of times where subtle acts of exclusion will happen because we're making assumptions, like because we haven't taken the time to get to know someone. So, for example, there's a white member who has adopted children who are Black, and someone made the assumption that those Black children were the children of another Black congregant because they just didn't know those families. So if we're taking the time to get to know people, then we would know that, right? So it's like all that connection actually helps us to also avoid the subtle acts of exclusion because we really know each other. We create connection through presence. So when you're reaching out to make a connection with someone, listen more than you talk and be genuinely interested in the other person. Ask follow-up questions or say, "Tell me more." Start a conversation from a place of shared experience, like a service or a class you attended. So like if you're in coffee hour, "Oh, what did you think of the service? Did anything stand out to you?" Or, "Oh, what did, like, in that class, what about this part? What did you think of that?" Something where you have a, like a forum to discuss. We create connection through awareness. So in our congregation, it's pretty easy to notice who is new because typically the newer folks have those paper name tags. We make name tags for folks who are not members. So if they have a plastic name tag like that, you can assume they've been to the church a couple times, right? Brand new people typically have the paper name tags, but sometimes people forget their name tags and they don't have them on, or they might take a paper one. But notice who's new and make a point to talk to them. And that's whether you're on the Radical Welcome team or not. There's only a few folks each week that are volunteering for the Radical Welcome team, and when there's 85 people at coffee hour, we aren't necessarily able to connect with everyone. So if we all make it our job that when you're service, if you sit down and you notice somebody that you've not met before, you just chat with them or you see them in coffee. It's not like a high pressure thing, but it's just an awareness of knowing oh, I haven't seen you before. Look around for people who aren't talking to anyone and invite them into conversation, right? Sometimes people don't feel seen. They just kind of stand back and maybe they're waiting to see. So look around and see if you can start a conversation with someone. And I know this is a very extroverted thing and the introverts might not be as into that, and that's okay. Because we want to respect the introverts as well. So notice if there's body language, if you start talking to someone and there's body language or signs that the person might not be ready for a conversation with you, and that's totally fine. Don't take it personally. We just want to make the effort, but if someone seems like, oh, they're just here to watch, or sometimes people come in and I'll say, "Oh, would you like me to make you a name tag?" And they say no, and I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm not going to cry about it. It's totally fine. And people take their time. I mean, everybody is in a different place, and some people have had experiences that might be, traumatic, or they might be really reticent coming into a church community after whatever experiences they might have had in the past. And so you just want to be affirming to them that this is a safe place and that they're welcome here. And so it's totally. Oh, you need a mic. You need a microphone if you want to share something. Oh, where'd the mic go, Eliana? Oops.
It's on what you were just talking about. Hi, I'm Sean. Sorry. So I did that. I walked out to a person, a guy, and just started talking to him. And then he said very politely to me, "Thank you, but I'm just kind of here. I'm not really interested in a conversation." And I said, "Okay, well, have a great day." And I walked away, not quite sure what to think of that, right? I was like, did I do something? I didn't think so. He didn't seem to say, he seemed very irrational. And then about 2 weeks later, I got, I think, an email because this guy was friends or had a relationship with a member, and she found me or something. Anyway, I got an email from her saying that this woman talked to this man, we'll call him Gary, I don't know his name. Gary told her how meaningful it was that I went up and tried to talk to him, and how that really stuck with him. And I was like, oh. So I had an experience where I did that, and it seemed very unpleasant. But the fact that I did it actually turned out to be impactful, and luckily I learned that. often in life, when we do something, we don't realize its positive effect. So I just wanted to share that.
Thanks, John. I think it's also important to think about the fact that we don't know what everybody else's experiences are, right? We don't know what happened that morning at home. We don't know what's going on. And so, you know, if somebody comes to church late, I've definitely had people say to me that like they'll come in, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I'm late. And I always say, you're here. Think about all of the people that didn't make it today. You made it, you're here. It's totally fine. Like, you don't ever want to make people feel bad about showing up. You showed up, you know, and there are churches where, you know, they'll lock the door or like kind of there's a guilt feeling around that, and that's not who we are in our congregation. And so it's really about just being like, I'm so glad you're here. Like in whatever way and whatever time you show up, like that we want this to be a place that feels, you know, safe and warm and comforting, and not like you're going to be judged or shamed or anything like that. So tying right into that, we create connection through centering others. So this is a little note about proximity. It's kind of what I'm talking about, but it's common to try to identify people by their proximity to you. Is this person new here? I haven't seen you before, so you must be new. Or how does your experience relate to my experience? In Radical Welcome, we center the visitor's proximity to the community rather than the individual's proximity to the visitor. So what that means is, I'll just give an example. Like if somebody comes in and there's a relatively new greeter, let's say, and they're really excited and wonderful, and somebody walks in and they say, "Are you new?" That could be somebody who has been a member of the church for 45 years. And have somebody say to them, "Are you new?" makes them feel like, wow, people don't really know me here anymore. I've been here forever, and they don't know who I am. And so, or if there's somebody who is new, it makes them feel very singled out. Like, oh, I am new. It's obvious they know I don't belong here because I'm new. The one that I think is even the trickiest one is when somebody's been attending for like maybe 5 or 6 months. And if somebody says, "Are you new?" to them then, like they're starting to feel like, oh, this is my place, like I belong here, I feel comfortable here. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm new. I'm not, this isn't really, I don't feel like I belong as much. So that's where I get to that dreaded question, are you new? And how that makes people feel. And so I really encourage like everybody in the congregation, not just our greeters, I tell the greeters and ushers all the time, to take that language out of your mouth. We really don't like to say, are you new? Because there's really never a great scenario in which it feels welcoming. So we can all agree that we will not say this anymore. And I've done it before too. Sometimes you just kind of slip into it, but I'll notice and I'll be like, ugh, don't do it. So it's okay, don't beat yourself up if you say it, but do try to avoid it. Instead, what I like to say is, hi, have we met? I'm Laura. It makes people feel more welcomed. It makes them feel open, like you're trying to get to know them. And also, if you have met them before, they might say, oh yeah, we met, but it was a couple months ago. And you're like, oh, remind me of your name. I do try really hard to remember names, and you can all attest. I try to learn the names like it's my job. But when there's like 600 people coming through the doors, it's hard to remember everybody's names. But if you're authentic, or if you see, and this is not just for me greeting, but for you when you're in coffee hour, you sit next to somebody. One nice thing is that we have these giant name tags now, so it's really easy to know somebody's name if they're wearing the giant name tag. But if you've forgotten, you can always say like, oh, hi, like have we met? I'm Mickey or whatever. And it's just a nice way to open a conversation. And maybe you have met before, and maybe they'll say, oh yeah, like I was at your training, and I'm like, oh right, like so good to see you, or whatever. But it's just a nice way to open a conversation, whereas are you new is a closed question, and it's very othering, and it's isolating, and it just kind of shuts down the conversation. So I encourage you to try this as just some opening language for you if you want to start a conversation with someone. And if you've met someone before and you can't quite remember their name, oh wait, I forgot to before. The technology. So if you've met someone before and don't quite remember your name, I always say, hi, it's so nice to see you. And somebody told me that saying it's nice to see you is ableist, and I do agree that, like, but I can't think of any other language that's better. So if someone has a better suggestion, I'm open to it. But the difference between saying it's so nice to see you versus it's so nice to meet you is that you can say it's so nice to see you to anyone. I could have seen you 100 times before, and if I see you today and I say it's so nice to see you, it's nice to see you. It's also, you can say it's so nice to see you to someone you've never met before. So it's a nice kind of neutral thing to say. And if it's somebody that you think you met before and you can't quite remember, they're not wearing a name tag, you can say, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Could you remind me of your name? And they can share their name. Isaac, did you have something to share? You need a mic if you're going to talk because we're on Zoom.
How about it's nice for you to be here?
It's nice for you to be here? Yeah, that's good. I like that. Thank you. So that's an alternative as well. It's nice for you to be here. Oh, so this is what I was just talking about, saying it's nice to see you instead of meet you. Because one thing is if you met somebody before, or even if you met somebody a couple times before and you don't remember and you say it's nice to meet you, then they're like, oh, that person doesn't remember me at all. So it's nice to see you or it's nice for you to be here. And then have some follow-up questions that kind of come to mind to continue the conversation. So here are some examples of follow-up questions. You are totally welcome to come up with your own kind of follow-up questions. But one thing I'll often say is, have you been attending UU churches for a long time? Sometimes when I'm greeting in the lobby, when I greet someone, if they say they're new, I might say, have you been attending UU churches for a while? Because while they might be new here, they might not be new to UU. They might have been at UU since before I was born. And so it gives you some context where they can say like, oh, no, I've never been to a UU church before. And then you can say, oh, how did you hear about us? Or somebody might say, oh, yeah, I'm a UU from Rochester, and I was a member there for 35 years. Oh, awesome. Have you moved to the area? It's just a way to like kind of start a conversation. Another one, like generally, like, how's your week been? If you're just in coffee hour and you run into somebody that you kind of know, but you don't really know, you could just ask, how's your week been? And it just is an open-ended question to start a conversation. Or like, what are your interests? Are you involved in any groups or activities? And that could be like at the church here, or it could be just generally. Or like I said before, like, what did you think of the service or the class? So just like kind of neutral, like just getting to know people. Because the more we get to know people, the more we create connections. The more connections we have, the less likely we are to fall into those like subtle acts of exclusion traps. So just making an effort to build community. So if you meet someone and they do say that they're new, I always like to say, welcome, I'm so glad you're here. Because we're glad everyone's here, but yeah, you just want people to feel welcomed. And here specifically follow-up questions with someone new. Have you been to UU churches before, which is what I said. What drew you to Unitarian Universalism or to this church specifically? How did you hear about UU or this church specifically? And if they have any questions about UU. That one might be more if you're like formally greeting. It might, I mean, if you do meet someone and they're new, you could, like in your coffee hour, some of these, they're like, oh, what interested you about UU? You know, just taking a moment to kind of learn more about folks. These are just suggestions, and I think whatever comes naturally to, engaging in a conversation is great. It's also nice to introduce new people to a staff person or a minister if possible. So if you do meet someone new, like you're in coffee hour or like when you turn and greet your neighbor, it's always nice to bring them over and introduce them to me. I might have already met them greeting, but it's always nice to make sure that they've met somebody from the church because we're the folks who are going to be following up with them, specifically myself or my assistant Ryan. Say hi, Ryan. So if you bring them up to a staff person, that can kind of just start that connection because then when we write them an email, there's a face to kind of go with the name. And it also helps me because as you know, I try to learn people's names like it's my job, so the more I meet people, the more it helps me remember. So I appreciate that if you do, meet someone new. So we create connection through participation as well. Participating in church events and groups builds connection. And that's not just connection for you personally, but connection among our community. The more you show up and participate in the church community, the more connection you will feel and the more other people will feel connected to you, right? And so I often tell people, you get as much out of church as you give into it. So the more you show up, the more you participate, the more you're going to get out of being a part of this community and connected. So ways to get involved. So I specifically have put together different activities that are entirely focused on intentional relationship building. As many of you have heard, we do coffee and conversations on Thursdays. This is the event that when you visit the church, you get the little card in the mail, and we invite you to come to coffee with a little coffee card as your welcome gift. We do our coffee and conversations now. We switched. It's at Panera now. We're trying it out. We'll see how it works. But it's on Thursdays from 10:30 to 12:30. It's at the Panera in the Festivals at Riva Shopping Center, where Giant and Michael's and TJ Maxx is. Coffee and Conversations, the other one is Gen XYZ Meetup. This is one that just meets once a month. It's at 49 West Coffee House. It's from 7 to 9. The next one, if you want to mark your calendars, is on August 20th. And then we also do a Connecting Conversations middle hour. That's something that we do during this time, and it's centered around conversations. But all three of these activities are very, very similar in nature. We have a small group, we check in, we do something that's called glums and glows. So you say your name. A glum is something you're challenged by or stressed out about. A glow is something you're excited about or looking forward to. Everybody goes around and shares. You don't have to share glums and glows if you don't want to. And then after glums and glows, we just do conversation questions. So we just have a little box, and it's just about getting to know people. We did recently make a little covenant for our Coffee and Conversations group to kind of set some norms about trying to be concise when we're answering, making sure that we're stepping back and everybody's having a chance to share so that one person isn't talking, overtaking the conversation. That we will limit cell phone use, like being on our phones while we're in conversation with one another, things like that. And so the format of these, we do it at the coffee, we do the same format, check-in, the glums and glows, and then question cards. We do the same thing at the Gen XYZ Meetup. Gen XYZ Meetup and coffee, if the group, like last week at Coffee and Conversations, we had 19 people, so we had to split into 2 groups. So if the group is large enough, we'll have 2. And then with the middle hour, we come in here and we just break up into groups of like 6 to 8 people, and we do the same thing just in the church. The more you come to these types of activities, the more people you'll know. And so when you come to church and you walk in the door or you're in coffee hour, the more you'll feel connected to the community because you've spent the time making the effort to get to know other people. And that's not just true for these activities that I put together. That's really any activity, right? Any after hour you go to, any group or club that you participate in, the more you show up, the more you're going to feel connected and known in the community. Another thing you can do is join a small group, and as I announced in service, enrollment is open now. So our small groups are called Chalice Circles. We have, for those of you who might not be familiar with our Chalice Circles, there's 2 kinds of Chalice Circles, and I want to make sure that it's not confusing for everybody. We have small group Chalice Circles. Small group Chalice Circles meet in neighborhoods, or they might meet based on some affinity, like we have a people of color Chalice Circle. But the Chalice Circles are groups of about 10 to 12 people. They meet in people's homes. The format is that they typically, some of them share food or have a little social time at the beginning. There's a time for checking in, just to see how everyone's doing. And then we have a curriculum that we use that's called Soul Matters. It is where we get our spiritual themes for the month from. So the sermons for that month are based on the theme. I think the last one that we did was freedom. During the summer, Soul Matters takes a break. So right now there are no Chalice Circles going on in July and August. There's a little break while we're kind of starting up for the next year. So there's the packet that has activities in it and discussion questions. So the group will check in, and then it's small group discussion based on a spiritual theme. So it's different than my coffee and conversations and things like that, because those are purely kind of social. Whereas chalice circles are really about kind of going deeper spiritually. And so in a small group chalice circle, you have the same 10 to 12 people who are in your group, and you're committing to attend once a month to meet with that same group. So you're building deeper relationships with a small group of people. The other thing that we have is the community-wide chalice circles. And so one thing is small group chalice circles, same 10 to 12 people in neighborhoods, not meeting at church unless that chalice circle makes special arrangements. But it's the same people every single month. A community-wide chalice circle is something that I created that is more of a drop-in experience. It's offered once a month as well. It starts off with like a little appy hour, like snack hour, or it's really 45 minutes. We meet from 6 to 6:45, and we tell people to just bring snacks to share. People bring really fun snacks. It's pretty great. So bring snacks to share from 6 to 6:45, and then at 6:45, the folks who want to do the community-wide chalice circle, the discussion will come into the sanctuary. We do have childcare and activities for children and youth downstairs, and so the children and youth can participate in the conversation if they want to. The majority of them tend to go downstairs. They do like movie night or art night or things like that for the kids. So it's friendly for the whole family. And so from 6:45 to 8:30, we do a chalice circle here. So we do opening words. We have a little covenant that we read, and then we break up into small groups. We check in. Oh, I skipped a part. We do a covenant, we read, and then we do a tone setting, a theme. So we talk about the theme. The content that we share in the community-wide chalice circle, Ruthie is my big collaborator on that. Yay, Ruthie. So the content that we share in the community-wide chalice circle is original. So we might take a little inspiration from the packet, but we really try to make it different than what you might talk about in your small group, so that if people want to go to a small group chalice circle and a community-wide chalice circle, they will be on the same theme, but it's not like you're going to be doing exactly the same thing. So with the community-wide chalice circle, we do a little tone setting. Sometimes we show a video or a TED Talk, just to kind of set up what the theme is. And then we break up into small groups of 6 to 8 people, and we do spiritual reflection discussion based on the theme. So the thing about the community-wide chalice circles that's really different is that every time you come, you're getting to meet different people, because it's random. We just count people off elementary school style, and you're randomly assigned a group. So unlike a small group chalice circle where you're meeting with the same people month after month, the community-wide chalice circle, you're mixing it up and getting to meet different people each time. And so there's a benefit to both of those, and it kind of depends like what you prefer, and you can do both if you want, or neither if you don't. But that wouldn't be participating, and I'm talking about participation. So if you're interested for the small group chalice circles, if you're interested in signing up for a small group chalice circle, I sent out an email about it with things coming up for membership, and there's a link that you can use to sign up. There's also a section for the next couple of weeks. There's a section on the bottom of our connection cards that you can just sign up using your connection card if you do want to be in a small group chalice circle. I will be creating groups. We do need, to make more groups, we need more leaders. So if you're interested in leading as well, they're not hard to lead. But as we, toward the end of the month, we're going to start making those groups. And Mickey has a question. Can somebody give Mickey the mic?
Thanks. This is Mickey. It's just a bit of housekeeping. I've tried twice now to go online and complete the form, the chalice circle, and I'm rejoining my current group, but I couldn't get my form to complete. It was as if I was giving insufficient information.
Okay, I'll have to check into that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So in terms of participation, this is my favorite quote. And so some people have said, like, what should I do, or what should I participate in, or what does the church need? And I like to say, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. That's by Howard Thurman. And really, like, that's what we want. We want whatever you're doing in church, whatever you're participating in, to really fill your cup. And that might be helping with hospitality. It might be singing in the choir. It might be, just coming to service and being in community. It might be participating in the mindfulness practice group. Whatever that thing is, do the thing that gives you joy, that makes you feel connected, that gives you purpose, because that's what we want for you. We want you to, feel like your best self. So do what you love. We have middle and after hours. Look at the middle and after hour offerings, and if something speaks to you, go to it. If there's something that you're really passionate about, you can talk to Sarah Devlin Tremble about doing your own middle or after hour and presenting on that theme, as long as it ties into what the church is about. But it could be really about anything. Join a group or a club, and if you can't find a group or a club that you like, start one. We have so many groups and clubs that have started in this church just since I've been here, based on people's passions. We have Poetry Pals, which were folks who just wanted to have a community to write both poetry and prose. They started a group. We have a board game group. We have a book club. We have a movie group that's gotten really active, where it's folks who just wanted to watch movies. They go watch the movie on their own, and then they get together for a little potluck dinner and discuss the film. We have not one, but two Dungeons and Dragons groups. There's all sorts of things that, if there's not a group that you're called to, and you want to create a group, just let us know. One thing, to create a group, you do need to be a member, and you need to have 2 other sponsor members. So there need to be at least 3 members to sponsor a group. That just tells us that there's enough community interest for that group to be considered a church program. It does have to fit with our church values, but really, building community is part of our church values. So like playing Dungeons and Dragons builds community. Sure, that can be a church group. We encourage you to get involved in the things that we have here, and also create your own groups. And also to volunteer. There's lots of opportunities that pop up throughout the year for volunteering. And so as you see them, when you look at our Newsweek, you can see all sorts of different opportunities as the year progresses. We're going to do winter relief again. There's going to be tons of opportunities to volunteer. We make dinner at the Lighthouse Shelter. We give food to the Woodside Gardens pantry, and we also have a little food pantry here. And then there's also lots of groups like the Defending Our Democracy, which was a congregant-created group that does a lot with postcard writing and phone calling and things like that, or all of our different social justice groups. Lots and lots to get involved in. So, no, okay. Oh, yes? Did you want to share something? Okay. Is it relevant?
Does that mean kids can start groups?
Yeah, I think they could, as long as you'd probably have to have 3 parent sponsors who are willing to be there with you, only we can talk. We'll talk offline, but I would say yes. If your parents are members and there's member support, yeah, let's talk. I think that's a great idea. I love it. So good question. Another thing that you can do if you really want to lean into creating that culture of connection is to join the Radical Welcome Team. Shameless plug. So we have an amazing Radical Welcome Team. I counted up how many volunteers we had just doing ushering, greeting, and hospitality in the last year, and I think it was something like 71 people had volunteered at least once, which is amazing. But with all of those people who do volunteer, every single week, we are literally begging people, please sign up, please sign up, please sign up. And it is a lot of energy just from from a membership side. It's a lot of our work hours having to chase people down to sign up for the Radical Welcome Team. And so I really want to encourage folks to also proactively sign up. Ryan sends out the Radical Welcome Team link, and actually, Ryan, could you go get a clipboard and see if anybody wants to sign up? We could get their names right now. I know a lot of you are already on the team. But if you can proactively go on the link and sign up without us having to nag, I can't think of a better word, but without us having to bug you, it really does help, and it saves us a lot of time as well. Shauna, did you have a question? Can somebody take Shauna the mic? Thanks.
Thanks, and is this on? Thanks. Also, I think a kids groups, that's a nice idea, and I would love to see those things started some more. I was wondering about the Radical, because I'm among those who have signed up. What I don't receive is there something that I'm supposed to know about having access to about like some kind of regular prompt or like a monthly thing for which Sundays? Because if I'm thinking loosely about, like, as I keep track of other things in life, which Sunday, that doesn't like register in the same way to me. And then what feels on your end like chasing people down ends up being also difficult to respond to because it's in a time crunch. So is there something that we're supposed to know about that's a month, that gives us access to seeing something as a whole?
Yeah, so the link, the sign up link, and I'll have Ryan send it out again to the Radical Welcome team. She sends out that link every time she asks, but if you click that link, there's kind of a table, and it has all of the Sundays for the next 8 or 10 Sundays, and there's little blanks, and you can just type your name in on the blank. So you can pick whatever day works for you, and you just enter your name in on the blank. So there's a link that has. Am I answering your question? Okay, we can talk too if you have a further question. Thornell has a question. Where's her?
Thank you. No, I have a statement.
Oh, a statement.
I think the Radical Welcome team has changed the flavor of this church tremendously. And I also think that sharing that information at GA was a fabulous thing that you did. And I really want to tell you, every time I park out in the back and there are people out there to say hello, I think that's truly wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. For all our Radical Welcome team volunteers who don't love grading in the parking lot, you would not believe how many people say how much they appreciate having you out there. So thanks.
Just one thing, everything that comes out of membership or hospitality in particular, please include the link on every single frickin' email, because I've been chasing around to try to find the link.
Okay. So. Ryan, who just stepped out, she's my new assistant, and I think that she had forgotten a few times, but I'll remind her to make sure she includes the link and everything to sign up. It is my hope that we will be able to get Realm working so that we can use Realm to be there is a whole feature of Realm that you can use that to sign up, and it makes it really easy, but I need more time to get sufficiently trained on that because it's just a whole rabbit hole that I just have not had time to go down, but it's part of my hashtag goals for this year. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Radical Welcome team they welcome and orient congregants. So those are the folks that, as you're coming in, the folks that meet you in the parking lot and at the front door and say hello and good morning. That's the Radical Welcome team. The folks who are handing out the Newsweek and the connection card and giving you the pen or passing around the microphone, doing the offering baskets, those are our ushers. They're the Radical Welcome team. And also the folks who are making the coffee and putting out the snacks and cleaning up, that's all Radical Welcome team. Radical Welcome team volunteer jobs are super easy. You don't need to have a whole lot of background or training. I mean, literally you just have to be able to smile and say hello, or, for a hospitality, you need to learn where stuff is and how to make the coffee, but they're all pretty easy to jump in and get involved in. And the other thing is joining any kind of team there's something so connecting from doing shared work together. And so, like, I can see it even with the hospitality folks, like there's like just a little like camaraderie there that comes from just working in community. Other things the Radical Welcome team does, they care for congregants by answering questions, giving out information, providing refreshments, and they do also help support congregants with special needs. So if there's somebody who, oh, thanks, Ryan. If there's somebody who needs like help with a wheelchair, they need the assisted listening devices or things like that, they'll help with that. So Ryan just brought the clipboard for signing up for the Radical Welcome team. If you're not on the list for getting information about the Radical Welcome team and you want to join, you've never done anything with the Radical Welcome team, you don't need to be a member to be on the Radical Welcome team. You can be welcoming even if you're a visitor or a prospective member. But you can write your name just like kind of at the bottom if you've never volunteered before and you just want to get on the list to get the emails and stuff. And another way to participate and get involved is through our annual engagement fair, Engage UUCA. The name actually has an exclamation point at the end. I made it that way, so it'd be exciting. Engage UUCA is something I took over when I started here. There used to be a volunteer fair here, and there were about 10 groups that would participate. And when I took it over, I started really encouraging all the different groups from our congregation to come. So this is not only like the choir and the like mindfulness practice group, but it's like literally all of the groups. And the last one we had, I think there were about 50 different tables of different groups and things to get involved in. So at Engage UCA, it's after service from 11:15 to 1:15 on Sunday, September 7th. And you can go around and talk to people who are leading the groups or involved in the groups. There are sign-ups, so you can sign up right there if you're interested in getting more information. And I encourage all of the groups to bring a different little snack. So there's lots of snacks. So it is just a really fun event, just to see how much is going on at the church as well. Also, if you're interested in starting a new group, get connected with me because you can have a table at Engage UUCA just to kind of assess interest. So, for example, there was one. Oh, no, it was the gallery. The gallery is kind of restructuring and looking for new leadership, so they don't exactly have a leader, but they're going to put out a clipboard to see if they can kind of stir up more interest in the gallery. But if you have some group that you're like, oh, I want to start a singles group or something, you could have a table and just like the divorce support group from last year, they didn't have a group before Engage UCA, and they put out a clipboard and then the group formed based on the people who had signed up. So. And I have a new idea that I want to share with you, and this is another thing that you can participate with. It's something that I'm going to be actively recruiting leaders for very soon, and that's called neighbor networks. I had this idea, and it is different. I want to make sure that it's clear that it's different from chalice circles. Chalice circles are focused on spiritual conversation, small group spiritual conversation. The idea of neighbor networks came from two places. One was from April, actually. She shared with me that she was at a church that had these groups. I think they were called Circles of David. Is that right? Yeah. Houses of David. So they had these different groups, kind of clusters. So among a larger church, there were these smaller clusters. And then Marianne and George Stein said that in another church they were at, they had these groups that were called Extended Loving Family. And so there were groups that were kind of geography-based, or at least in my mind, that's how I've kind of decided to do it, where the vision for this neighbor networks idea is that if you imagine there were like a map, and on that map there were pins where all of the different members are, but not just members, but also prospective members or friends of the church, and then you made clusters of maybe 50 or 60 people, that would be your neighbor network. And what I'm working on developing is that each neighbor network would have a few leaders. The neighbor networks would offer some kind of social, just community building activity once a month. It wouldn't need to be anything like big or elaborate. It could be like, meet in my backyard for ice cream, or let's go on a walk in Quiet Waters Park, or hey, there's this like outdoor music concert on this night. Does anybody want to go? It wouldn't be something where you're coordinating calendars and seeing what date works best. It would just be an offering. The leaders and the group could kind of decide, like, I'm kind of envisioning, like, if the neighbor network got together, people could just be like, I'll take October, I'll take this month, and come up with something. It could be a potluck at someone's house. You could do something here if you wanted, like a bingo night or whatever you want, whatever you want. It's really just something fun and that you could invite the community to, your neighbor network to. And so each month, your neighbor network would have a social offering. If you don't want to go to any of them, that's fine, but that would not be participating. But if you can only go to a couple throughout the year, that's fine. The idea is that you're starting to get to know each other, because as our church grows, I've been thinking about how can we make a bigger church feel small. And one of the ways that we can make our bigger church feel small is through creating a little kind of smaller groups of folks who are connected. And so the benefits of the neighbor network and in participating with your neighbor network is that you get to know the people who live nearby you. And so the vision of this is that that can then become a network for mutual support and care within that little network of that community. So for example, if you've got like the Odenton neighbor network, if somebody in that neighbor network falls and breaks their hip, then the folks know them and they can bring them meals, they live nearby, they can offer rides, they can help them walk the dog. And then maybe if you have something you have a baby or whatever and you need help, then there's mutual support. Other things that can happen, like maybe there's somebody in the neighbor network that's a single mom that could really use some help with childcare, and maybe in that same neighbor network there's a couple that doesn't get to see their grandkids very often and would love to like hang out with kids, and they have a relationship with the family, and so that they could work something out like that. It's not something that's like officially like through the church, but just through building community and connections. And in providing mutual support, having folks who live nearby you will just make it easier to support one another as a community, giving rides. If somebody's like, oh, I have a really hard time getting to church, and you realize like, oh, you live right down the street from me, I can text you whenever I come to church and I can give you a ride. It's not something super formal, but it's a way that we can support each other as a community better. Other things that I think would be cool if we get the neighbor networks doing would be things like we could do some shared work together. For example, with Lighthouse Shelter, you could say like, okay, the Broadneck neighbor network is going to make the dinner at Lighthouse Shelter this week. Or we could even do it with coffee hour snacks, like, oh, this neighbor network is going to provide coffee hour snacks for December. This one's going to provide them for January. And then you do your month, and then you don't have to bring coffee hour snacks the whole rest of the year. So I'm developing this idea. I also think that it would be great for checking in on folks. So if we're like, oh, we've noticed this person and this person haven't been coming a lot and they're in your neighbor network, the leaders of that neighbor network could check in on them and just see like, hey, where are they? Oh, maybe this person now it has mobility issues and they're not coming in person anymore. Maybe we'd like to set up elder visits for them so that, they won't be lonely, things like that. So Trez, did you have something to share? She needs a mic for... Oh, wait, no. Wait, because the Zoom can't hear you. We can hear you, but Zoom can't hear you. Is it on?
Are we on?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is this. So how are you envisioning the communication channels for something like that? Is that something that can be organized through Realm? Or are you thinking about like a dashboard? Or are you just thinking about blasting emails? I mean, how would you envision that?
So in Realm, and this is something that we're working on developing more, getting all the groups to use it. In Realm, there is a groups feature. And so people would be added to the neighbor network, the group, and then the leaders can send an email to that network through the Realm system. So it would be like an email for like, hey, our neighbor network's having these upcoming things. And then if you didn't want to be on the neighbor network, if you didn't want to get those emails, you could just email us and we could take you out of the group. So so that's the plan, that it would be through Realm. The communications would be through Realm, and we would just add people. Also, as prospective folks come in, then we could just add them to the respective neighbor network, so that it would be when the leaders are writing to their group, it would just be whoever's in that list. So it's kind of through the Realm system. It's the plan. So we are actively going to be looking for leaders to help coordinate the neighbor network. So you do have to be a member to be a leader of a neighbor network. But if you're interested in supporting this, I think it's going to be an awesome thing. And I think it's totally like based on like social fun stuff. So what a fun thing to do if you're into that kind of stuff. So. Okay. So I just want to emphasize that you can practice creating connection and being radically welcoming every time you're at UUCA in whatever way and however you show up, right? You can be radically welcoming and create connection at coffee hour. You can do it, helping somebody with the door. You can do it when you turn and greet your neighbor, or when you sit down and enter the service and you're just waiting for service to start and turning and just chatting with someone. It's really about knowing people and being known. And you do have to put yourself out there a little bit. I know I'm a super extrovert, and so it's a little easier for the extroverts to do that kind of thing. But yeah, I think that the more, even just showing up and participating, some of these small group conversation groups, I have friends who are introverts that said, I actually like that it's like a little more structured, it's smaller. And so don't feel like you're being pressured to like make yourself uncomfortable, but I also nudge you to like go outside of your comfort zone a little bit and just extend the welcome to everyone. So embrace the joy of getting to know an individual. Honoring the worth and dignity of every human being means you must meet them as they are without assumption. And it's fun. So I wanted to save a little bit of time for Q&A, if anybody has any questions. Or if there are any questions in the chat as well, Elena. Yep. Eliana. Oh.
Just comments. First of all, I think all the ideas you're presenting are really amazing, especially the neighborhood groups. I think that is something that's really, really missing in our culture. And it's changed. That's been a recent change to me. At least my perception of it is. We moved here 3 years ago, and not one neighbor has come to knock on my door and say welcome. I live in a big high-rise condo, and I just think that's weird. Of course, I haven't exactly gone out of my way to do that too, but I sort of have been asleep since, I've been in a coma since the elections, so it's been a little bit hard for me. But I've come out of my coma. But the bottom line is this: I think these are really, really innovative things that are going to help our community. And one other suggestion on Radical Welcome Team: I signed up when I first joined this congregation, and I've just been busy with other stuff. It's important stuff, but I have failed on showing up for coffee. And so I'm picking my weekend to bring refreshments is the second Sunday, and I'm committing every Sunday that I'm in town, I'm going to do the welcome. But I would encourage you to do that with people, because that way they know they have one Sunday a month that they are responsible.
We used to do for the Radical Welcome Team sign up, we used to have people who would sign up that they were like, I will greet the first Sunday of every month, or I will usher the second Sunday of every month. And we switched it to make it a little more just sign up when you can, to make it easier for folks' schedules. But if it's easier for you to just have a routine thing where you're like, I'm going to sign up once a month, you can still do that on the sign up sheet. You can also just say to yourself, I am going to sign up for 1 or 2 shifts every month, and then just make sure, keep yourself accountable for doing that. So when the emails come out, just say, I'm going to sign up for the next, couple months, and just put my name down a couple times. Because with 71 volunteers, really everybody should only have to volunteer once or twice a month, and we'll be all set. But it would be just so great for us and for Ryan to have the chart all filled up, so that even this last week, she was like, oh, I still need one more usher. Every week, it just seems like that happens. So yeah, that's a great idea. Thank you. Renee, Eliana, can you take Renee the mic? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have something to say, Isaac? No. Oh, okay.
Thank you. I also just wanted to say how I appreciate the neighborhood networks idea. It took a long time to understand which UUs lived in my neighborhood, and I actually think there's probably more that I don't know. But just like we don't go around like meeting people and asking where you live. But it's been very valuable to know the UUs in my neighborhood, like when my kid needed to carpool or she knows that I'm here or I can take her kid home. Like just literally, I lived near Catherine Parra for like a while and didn't know we were like one block, like one walking distance. So, and I know there's others, because I know once or twice I've heard somebody say they live in Crofton, and then I forget, So it would be great to know where they are so that, like, if something comes up, or just to be like, the groundwork, what could become mutual aid. And now also through these same neighbors, I've met their friends in the neighborhood. So my social circle in my area has grown. It's very valuable.
Oh, I love that. It's something with the neighbor networks too that I think is a cool opportunity is that it could be something to invite your friends to that's like not weird, like, hey, come to church with me. But it's like, hey, there's this, my church is doing this, like, we're going bowling, do you want to come? And it's like a little bit more like fun and social and gives people a flavor of what the community is like. And then if they did come to something like a neighbor network type activity, then when they come to church, they might, know a few more people. So it's also kind of a fun thing. Marilyn, did you have?
I'm here because my neighbor brought me. And I love her for that. And just to share with you what I'm thinking about those neighbor circles too is outreach to the communities of need. Because what we do, I speak Spanish. So, and what I've done in my neighborhood is every time I know there's a Spanish-speaking family, I don't know what I would do if they had a problem, but I know that my privilege and the people I know, I could help, and they might not have anybody to turn to. And so I just go around giving people my address and phone number and say, if you ever have a problem with what's happening, call me, I'll figure out something. And it seems to me that that's a way too. And plus, my community association is fighting among itself. And I've been talking to people here who know about mediating and helping people bring together. I think we can be in those neighborhoods the force that keeps me coming back to this church.
That's great.
I might be your neighbor, I'm not sure, but I know the people who can help your Spanish neighbors if they are concerned about ICE, because I'm a facilitator with Indivisible, and those are exactly the kind of things that we're reaching out to try to help people with. So I carry around ACLU cards with me. Yesterday I was at a gas station, and clearly this guy was an immigrant, and we started to talk, and I handed him the ACLU card and shared it with him and said, are you concerned? And if you need any help with any of your neighbors or friends, he said, oh, we're all fine, we have green cards. He didn't know that ICE is picking up people with green cards and even citizens. So yeah, this neighborhood thing would be really helpful, but keep Indivisible in mind if you start these groups in your neighborhoods, because I'm not an expert on how to coach him, but I know who the experts are.
Did anyone else have anything to share? Is there anything in the chat? No. Oh, Ted, sorry. Eliana, can you take the mic over to Ted? Thank you.
Just by coincidence today, I said hello to somebody I was sitting next to, and they said, "Are you new here?" Oh. Now I've been coming here for 27 years, right? And he had been coming here for 30 years. And I didn't feel bad that he didn't know me. I felt bad. Like I didn't feel like, wow, he doesn't, like I felt like, oh my gosh, that's my fault. Like I didn't think, oh, he thinks I'm new. I thought, oh, he thinks I'm new because he doesn't know me because I didn't make the effort to talk to him. And it just happened today, just
I'm thinking
before.
he should have come to this training.
Yeah. He absolutely said, "Are you new here?"
Well, I am recording this, so I can share the link if other folks who aren't here want to see it. Is there anything else? Oh, April. Oh, Ryan. Sorry. Let's do Ryan and then April because it's closer.
Hi, guys. I think I've met most of you, but I'm Ryan, Laura's new assistant. I have the clipboard here to sign up. I will say, ushers is the one I always am hunting for. Greeters fills up really fast. I get that people can feel scared ushering, but when you're signing up, if you notice, there's no ushers, and we already have 2 greeters. Maybe sign up to be an usher if you're comfortable with that, but that's that.
And our experienced ushers will train the new ushers. So Kara actually ushered for the first time today. Yay, Kara! So the experienced ushers will show the new ushers what to do and also will support you. It's really not that hard. And ushering, you get to hear the entire service because you're in here. When you greet, if you greet outside, you don't get to come in until after Wonderbox. So you don't miss anything if you're an usher. So Eliana?
I would like to say it's not that hard. I've ushered before and I'm 13, so.
Awesome. Yeah. And then April had something to share as well.
Hello, I'm April. So about the neighborhood network, what are we calling it again?
Neighbor networks.
Neighbor networks.
Oh, I took it off. Yeah.
I do think we are going to want to be mindful of who is in our neighborhood, right? Who can move, who can't. So when we're planning festivities and those kinds of things, make sure we're aware of, who's in our neighborhood. We may have some elderly. I'm elderly, but you know what I mean. We may have some elderly folks who can't move or struggle with movement and things of that nature. So,
yeah. I'm recruiting you to be on my team, April.
There are actually some people in chat, not really like asking questions, but just kind of saying like, thank you for holding this and that they want to try similar ideas in their communities and their congregations.
Great, thanks. You gotta click me back on, Elena.
Oh, actually, sorry, there is one question.
Oh, sure.
As your church grows, when do you add staff and in what roles?
Well, I guess that we'll see how things develop. We have grown actually since I've been in this role. We've grown quite a bit, and we did increase my role. So I went to Director of Member Engagement. Because of my schedule in life, I didn't want to be full-time. They offered me a full-time position, but I decided that I would rather be part-time and then have an assistant. So I'm 25 hours a week, and my assistant is 25 hours a week. But together we're 50 hours. So this church has been amazing in investing in member engagement. When I started here, I was only 15 hours a week. And I think that the board and Reverend John and the community who approves the budget has really seen the impact that member engagement has had and what a positive effect it's had on the community. And so you all have supported the growth of my role and like my little team with Ryan. So that's definitely an area that we have invested in. One area that we've got some little changes going on with administration that they're still trying to figure out, but Akande Simons just came on, and her title is communications lead. The vision with Akande is that she will be really helping us to kind of streamline our communications and make sure it's really easy to find out about events and activities and get involved and easier to use Realm. And so that's an area where we have invested in communications and because I really feel like my mission is to create opportunity for connection and engagement, and then in order for people to really know and be able to take advantage of that, we need to be communicating those activities, very well. And then in addition to all of our programming, we have a wonderful faith formation, lifespan faith formation program that Sarah Devlin Trumbull puts together from the little ones all the way through adult faith formation. And so the communications also is supporting letting everyone know about those programs as well as other, programs by Reverend John and also any groups. So I think communications is an area that I think investing in is important. I think that some things that we, like kind of goals would be to expand and develop with our, technology and, at some point maybe expanding the church even larger. I have a vision, this is just, Sarah and I have talked about this, but I think it would be super cool if this room became like a fellowship hall, and then out that way we built like a larger sanctuary where we could have just one service and everybody could be together, kind of like overlooking the woods where the Foss House is. This is just like a total dream, and it would take a lot of money. But hey, if we're growing, you said, where would I want to put money? But yeah, so we'll see. Parking would be good to have more of. Yeah, I feel like I could go on and on, but I think that we had a whole, what was that? The committee for visioning of what we could do. I can't remember what the committee was called. The Capital Campaign Committee has all sorts of ideas, so. But yeah, as far as staffing, I mean, it would be great to bring on another minister at some point. I would love to bring Ryan back. I would be all about championing that if that opportunity becomes available. So it just really depends on what the future holds. So it looks like Shauna has something to share.
Thanks. So I just felt like sharing that it was kind of pushing on me in a way of like when I hear the word growth and wondering what it means to people and like the awareness of different types of growth there can be, because it concerns me when expansion and burgeoning is the primary concept of what growth looks like. And I'm thinking about like it sounds like it'll be good for us to identify and hold space for different types and stages of growth so that deepening is possible, maturation of the relationships that we establish can happen, and of our spiritual orientations and connections and all that kind of thing. And for phases of a certain respect for a need for rest in a sense, so that things can be metabolized as they are consumed and integrated into the church. So that's just something that was on my mind.
Yeah, I think it's funny because when I started in this position, one time Reverend John said, I want to have a year where we have 100 new members join. And I was like, slow your roll. Because like, honestly, I feel like we want people to join in a way, like when I first started, people were joining a little bit slower, and it gave me time to really get to know people better. And in this last year, we had 88 new members join in the last year, and it was so many members that I felt like I haven't had as much time to really get to know each of those members on a personal level as well as I would like to, which is why like this neighbor network idea I'm developing, because I'm like, I still want those people to feel connected and have relationship, and because initially, like what happens typically with a visitor is that they become connected with me. I get to know them, I kind of get to know what they're interested in. I help them get involved in the community. And then it's almost think of it as like little baby birds in the nest. And you're like, okay, well, you're new, you're like here. But then I'm like, okay, go, you're getting involved in this, you're getting involved in that. And then new people come, and I kind of help foster a connection with them and get them involved in the things they want. But when there's so many people coming in, it can be hard to like, really have the time to get to know all those folks. And so I think growing too fast can be like too much, and so I totally hear you with the balance and wanting, me saying I want to expand that sanctuary and all that, that's just like, like 15 years down the road or something, not like tomorrow.
Thank you. That's a very thoughtful comment, but there's also the reality that we are kind of like an oasis in a way, and a lot of folks have come here because they feel more, they feel happier here in this sea of troubles like we just heard about all morning. But I have a question, please. Do we have any sort of legal consultant that we work with? Right now there's a movement, or there's a buzz about political activity at churches. And this is, the IRS is, if everybody's aware that the IRS has loosened up the expectation that nonprofits don't do political stuff at churches. And we have a, you know, Democracy Buffet is fairly political. And we don't do activities here, but the question is, do you foresee our ability to do things in the church if they are more partisan? Do we have that sort of legal?
That's a question for Reverend John. I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah. So, for the rest of this session, I actually got pizza. If anybody is gonna stay, or even if you don't, there's pizza. I want you should eat. But the last little part of this is just to practice. My little forwarder thing isn't working. So it's to participate in creating a connection now. And so what I wanted to encourage people to do is just take a little time to find somebody that they don't know, to be curious, be present, be aware, and center the other person and practice some of those connecting conversations. So I know I with the folks in the chat, you can do that on the chat if people want to speak one at a time. I know it's a little harder on the Zoom, so we can close here for the folks on the Zoom. But then also for those of you who participate, I know it's Sunday and you might have other things to do. So if you are not able to stay and connect now, I also encourage you to just practice these things as you come to church on Sundays and grow our community, because that's really what it's about. It's about building a beloved community, and I am so thankful to have all of you in my community. So thank you so much.
Before we pause, sorry, one last thing. Heather wanted to say that she wants to try to facilitate a Zoom neighbor network.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it.
I don't know exactly how that would work, but that she's just to say that she's interested.
Okay, great. Thank you, Heather. And thank you to everyone on Zoom as well. So have a wonderful day. And if you'd like to stay and have pizza and talk, I encourage you to stay.
Zoom, you should be able to unmute yourself now. I don't know why we don't seem to be able to unvideo ourselves. I'm not sure why. Wait, video settings. I don't know who set this. Let's see. Would like to use, I don't know. I don't seem to be able to get our video, but we can get our audio. You should be able to unmute yourself. If you can't, let me know in chat. Let's see. I'm going to ask to unmute. So my idea for a Zoom network is kind of like they would do.